Thank you for coming here today. So we're going to talk about youth apathy in regards to the midterm elections and in terms of voting in general. Both of you are engaged with politically oriented students on a regular basis, but what would you have to say to those students who feel a bit more distant towards state, national, international politics about the importance of voting?
Griffin.
Oh, thank you. I guess I would say that politics is incredibly important. It's one of the most important things in everyone's life, whether they want it to be or whether they don't want it to be. There isn't a major or a vocation or an interest that isn't affected by the political outcomes of elections. So they really matter. If you're an artist, a lot of art funding comes from the government. If you're making films, same thing. If you want to go into journalism, laws that affect journalists matter to you. If you're going into business, obviously, a lot of decisions are made by the people who are elected that will affect you for the rest of your life. So there's no reason not to be invested, because it's guaranteed to have a serious impact on your life and obviously the lives of everyone else.
I couldn't agree more, and we can't stress that enough, how much it will actually affect your life and people's lives in general. I mean, if you look at the recent mayoral election in New York City, something like only 9% of New York came out to vote, and advocacy for the mayor and approval ratings of the mayor have been on the lower side, and people are complaining, but in truth, they don't have the right to complain because they didn't go out and vote.
So you're talking about conversations that are very universal and inherent to young people today. So what are the specific issues that are concerning young adults like us and that would give us the incentive to go out and vote?
I think one of the biggest issues is we are issues voters that only focusing on certain issues. While it is important, and I think it is important to market certain issues to help people get out to vote. So I'd love to hear a little bit from you, but I would say primarily healthcare has been a big thing, and what I've seen in upstate New York is actually the New York SAFE Act, where Governor Cuomo instituted additional gun regulation, and it wouldn't seem that kids would be excited about that, but they are.
And there's certainly a lot of things that are multi-generational issues that we have a chance to decide now. So obviously things like global warming, while it may not be in fact impacting our lives deeply at the moment, although just a couple of years ago with Sandy it certainly and arguably was, in the future we'll see long-term consequences based on the political decisions of today. So it makes all the sense in the world for the youngest voters in society who will have the longest exposure to the consequences of decisions around global warming to really care about the outcome. And obviously there are other issues, values issues like gay marriage, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter, in my personal opinion, and I'm sure my colleagues is, and it doesn't matter whether you're conservative, liberal, left, right, center. As Ronald Reagan used to say, there is no left or right, there's only up or down. The only thing that we should be concerned with as college students is getting other college students involved and to learn about each of the issues so they can make informed decisions. When America really will start to spiral is when when people just start listening to, let's say, one media source or their friends and not actually confirming anything they hear.
And what specifically in regards to students graduating are we talking about?
Oh, so student debt obviously is a major issue for graduating students, and there is a lot of disagreement and discussion over the role government should or can have in that. And a lot of different politicians have very different views, and people recently graduating who have a large incentive in the outcome of this should research politicians' views and vote accordingly on that issue, but also obviously all the other issues that a politician stands for.
And just on student debt, I mean, one of the biggest problems with that is that it's such a complicated issue. And if you have to look at it from all sides, which is a really big problem, because unless people want to take the time to study the issue from all sides, you get kind of a skewed thought. On the surface, it may look like additional subsidies should be implemented to help decrease the costs, but then you have to look at the long-term benefits or problems with that, as far as revenue to the government and funding other social laws. Right.
So in regards to the issues that you've been talking about, thinking a bit more in a broader perspective, the recent study that came out by Harvard Politics Institute last week, saying that they're expecting a decrease in young adults voting for Democratic, and an increase in Republican. What are your thoughts on this? What might explain this potential shift?
So there's just a decrease in general of people who wanted to vote, and there's countless reasons for it. I think one of the primary ones is this is a midterm election, which may not be as exciting for people aged, let's say, I'm unsure what the age group was, 18 to 25, 18 to 26. And there's also another issue is that there's a lot of candidates. So more money is spread between multiple candidates, and you get less exposure to each candidate. And people won't vote unless they're personally involved and like the candidate. So in the presidential race in 2016, I think you'll see those numbers shift to become much larger because I think President Obama and Mitt Romney spent almost equal amounts, over $1 billion, just promoting themselves. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, people become personally invested.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think a lot of the reason why we're seeing that decrease is because it's a midterm election, and especially among the Democrats, there is a sense that this election is less consequential, and perhaps an individual feels like they have less ability to affect it just based on the races the Democrats have been handed.
Couldn't be farther from the truth.
No, it's absolutely wrong. It's in fact more incentive to be involved.
The Congress has just as much power, if not more, as the executive branch.
Right. I guess so everything you guys have been talking about is really about young people taking the initiative to go out to vote and about the low turnout so far. So I guess now thinking beyond the midterm elections, what do you have to say to NYU students about how to prepare for the elections of 2016?
Everyone wants to talk about 2016. The people who are going to be running now aren't strangers to the political system. They're governors, they're senators, they're people who you can find out about now and develop a passion for. And then in 2016, especially around time a lot of people will be graduating, is a great opportunity to work on a campaign, to really dedicate just a few months of your life to it, like a really exciting, exhilarating experience that also is incredibly important to the functioning of our democracy. So start pay attention now, spend 5 to 10 minutes a day looking at a newspaper or looking at a website, and then keep your eyes open on the people you read about.
John?
I really 100% agree with what Griffin said.
Okay, well thank you so much for being here today and for sharing all of your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you for having us.
I'm Stephanie Leontiev for NYU Election 2014.